The nature of the church is in decline, and the operation and the function of the church is in decline. And when I say this, this is across the board. Something has happened. Even in America, something is happening. We're digressing. All of the so-called civil rights that we got look like gone. And y'all don't even know it. You're sitting here like everything is just like it was last year this time, but it is not. Something has happened and you don't even realize it. We don't even know how bad it's going to affect us over the next few years. What we're going to have to do to tap into something to take us above this and beyond this. Say amen. Degenerate means to decline in nature, to decline in function, to decline in operation. The church is in decline. We can't hardly get people to show up. We got no desire to come to church. You know why? Because people don't have no desire and no appetite for God. You got to have an appetite for God. You got to desire God. You got to want God. God got to be your delight. Your delight has to be in the presence of God and in the face of God. Anybody hearing me? And I'm not just talking about your public display. I'm not just talking about my public display. If all I got here today is a public display, I ain't got nothing. If this is all I possess, if this is all I have, I like that one. If this is all I got, if all I got is right here and right now, I ain't got nothing. If all I got is a show, if all I got is a public display, if all I have is a public ministry with no private relationship, I got nothing. Oh, that's a good place to clap right there. Because that goes across all of us. If this is all you got is a coming to church on Sunday, if all you got is a show up, if all you got is a bill, and you don't have no private relationship with God, you really don't have much of anything. Say amen. Amen. Genesis 3:8, the Bible says that Adam went and the voice of God came walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And it says that Adam went and hid himself from the presence of God. First of all, you cannot hide from God. But what it basically means is that Adam lost the appetite to be in the presence of God, and he drew back from God as opposed to running to God. Genesis 4:16 said that, and Cain went and dwelt in the land of Nod. He went out from the presence of God. Why do we see men leaving the presence of God? And the Lord spoke something to me, Apostle, that really blessed me. He says, until being in my presence become your delight, until it becomes your pleasure, until it becomes your desire. He says you really haven't tapped in, and you haven't been able to really live as you should. Somebody said, praise the Lord. And that appetite can only be quenched as you get closer to God. Somebody said, I'm going to get closer to God. But the Lord said to me, there is a new anointing, this 40-year mark. God is ushering you across a threshold into a new anointing. It's an interesting thing about the anointing. It's really unexplainable. You really can't explain it. And any preacher who's ever tried or attempted to teach or to preach on the anointing, we have all fallen short. Because we have no adequate way of describing the anointing in its totality and everything that it does. One of the things that I know that the anointing does is it extends you beyond you. Amen. I'll say it again. It extends you beyond you. That there is a cutoff point where I stop. And my ability and my knowledge and everything that is human can't go any further. Are y'all with me? But what the anointing does, when it comes, then it will extend me beyond where my human ability, where my human knowledge, where my human effort even stops. The anointing gives you strength when you have none. Did y'all hear me? The anointing gives you, will actually give you knowledge. There are things that God spoke to me under the anointing that I didn't know until he said it. Is anybody listening to me? Now I'm trying my best and I'm going to fall short, I know, because I've never seen it really adequately and accurately depicted. I'm talking about the anointing. There was a man in the Bible, in the book of 2 Samuel chapter 23 verse 9, and it says this, I'm going to read it. It says, and after him was Eleazar the son of Dodo, the Anohite, one of the three mighty men with David. And they defied, oh boy, I love defiance. Somebody said defiance. Defiance. Sometimes we need to be a little defiant. Now, I'm pulling this off like I'm going to really preach, but I'm not. Sometimes we need to be a little defiant. You know, because you're going to have to defy the devil. You're going to have to defy sickness. You're going to have to defy disease and affliction. You're going to have to defy poverty. You're going to have to defy lack. You literally got to defy these things. You know why? Because they're coming. Y'all ain't with me. And if you are passive and not defiant, then you're going to find yourself laying down and accepting what you should not accept. Somebody say amen. And so it says, when they defied the Philistines that were gathered together to battle, and the men of Israel were gone away. The Bible says this in verse 10. He arose and smote the Philistines until his hands was weary. Look at that. He smote the Philistines until his hand was weary. Has anybody ever been weary? Have you ever just been tired? Have you just ever been in that place where you had enough? Have you ever been in just that spot where you just seemed like you couldn't go any further? You just wanted to quit. You wanted to give up. You wanted to walk away. You wanted to sit down. I don't think nobody knows what I'm talking about. I don't think nobody's ever been there. The Bible says he smote the Philistines until his hand was weary. In other words, he got tired. We get tired sometimes. The older we get, sometimes we get tired quicker. And it takes a little bit longer for us to recuperate when we're tired, when we're older. This man smote the Philistines in his own strength until his hand was weary. But watch what it says happened. It says, and his hand clave unto the sword. And the Lord wrought a great victory that day. And the people returned after him only to spoil. It says that he smote the Philistines until his hand was weary. And then it says, and his hand clave to the sword. In other words, an anointing kicked in that would not permit him to let the sword go. An anointing kicked in that would not let his arm fall. An anointing kicked in that kept his arm going. And kept him in the battle. And kept him cutting and stabbing. Y'all ain't going with me. Until he killed all of the Philistines. Talk to me, somebody. See, that's the kind of anointing that we need now to kick in when we're weary. To kick in when we've had enough. To kick in when we're tired, when we feel as though we've done everything we know to do. We've worked every strategy, every plan. We've tried all our best, and all of our best efforts have fallen short. We need something now to kick in to take us beyond that. Somebody tell the Lord, thank you. And the Lord said to me, he says, I am bringing a fresh anointing to take you beyond you. to extend you beyond yourself. Now watch this. When you start looking at the anointing, it is so difficult really to describe or to explain or to articulate how it works. Talk to me in here. And I want to do the best I can. The olive tree was the symbol of the anointing. You know, churches everywhere have a bottle of olive oil. Now, this happens to be a very decorative bottle. But they come in all, bottles come in all shapes and sizes. Sometimes we still got the olive oil label on the bottle that we bought from the store, because it don't really matter. This could be olive oil. It is olive oil, but it really was first used as cooking oil. And all on your salads. How did this come to be the symbol of the anointing? Good God Almighty. Why did he tell us is that if there is any sick among you, let him call for the elders of the church and let them pray over them, anointing them with oil in the name of the Lord. Didn't it say it? And then it says, and the prayer of faith shall save the sick, and the Lord shall raise them up, and if he have committed sins, they shall be forgiven him. The olive oil, I like that word, olive. Oh, live. Something about it, God wants us to live. Say live. And he used the olive tree. The olive was the first tree to appear after the flood. Y'all remember when Noah was told to send the dove out from the ark to see if the flood waters had abated from the earth. And the dove flew from the ark. And when he flew, the Bible says that he came back with an olive branch in his mouth. The very first tree to appear after the flood in the earth was the olive tree. It was symbolizing something. Somebody say amen. The olive tree takes 7 years to begin to bear fruit. Watch this. This is good. It takes 7 years for the olive tree to begin to even bear olives. Watch this, apostle. But it don't reach its full maturity for 15 years. So it's not a mature tree until after it is at least 15 years old. It doesn't begin to bear fruit until after 7 years. But watch this. The tree won't reach its full potential until it's 40. The olive tree doesn't reach its full potential until it's 40. Did you hear that? Can I hold on to this for a minute? Give me a little something to sit right here. I need another little thing. It won't reach, the olive tree doesn't reach its full potential until it is 40 years old. I feel the Holy Ghost in here. Is that good news? In other words, we shouting and praising God for the 40th year. And we bore some fruit in the 7th year. And bore some fruit in the 15th year. But you ain't even reached your full potential yet. You're about now to step into your fullest capacity to produce. Come on, talk to me in here. And then watch this. And then it says that the olive tree, after 40 years and reaching its full potential, it will go on after that, Apostle Walters, to produce fruit for hundreds of years. You talking about a legacy. You talking about something that's supposed to continue. You're talking about something that's supposed to go on. And so now old path or original path, you've come to your 40th year. You are now about to cross over into a new anointing, and you're about to step into a dimension where your full capacity and your fullest potential to bear fruit is going to begin to manifest. Somebody better praise the Lord in here. Now watch this. There was a process. There was a process for the olive. olive to produce its oil. The olives were harvested in September and October, and they would put a large cloth under the tree, and they would shake the tree. So they put this large cloth under the tree, and they would either beat the tree with sticks, or they would shake the tree for the olives to fall on that cloth. Are y'all hearing me here? And when the olives would fall on that cloth, they would gather them up in that cloth, and they would take them down to the olive press, which was usually a wheel that crushed the olive to get the pulp, which was pressed to get the oil. And so it had to be crushed to get to the pulp, and then it had to be pressed to get the oil. Y'all ain't going with me. You see, sometimes you and I don't want to go through the pressing. We don't want to go through the crushing. We don't want, see, there's an anointing that's going to come out of us, but the only way it's going to come out of us is when we endure the crushing, when we endure the pressing, the pressure that squeezes